Alrighty, so we were just talking about I'm playing World of Warcraft. I love how the remix allows you to go after the Tusks of Mannoroth, which for WoW players you should probably know. In retail WoW, it's like a 0.035, something like that, percent chance of dropping if you try doing the Siege of Orgrimmar raid, legitimately killing Garrosh. It's such a low chance of happening that you could pretty much say it's almost impossible. But I tried for 6 years since Legion when I got back into WoW to get them, and I still could not get them. So when Miss Pandaria Remix came out, and at first I was just playing it for fun, like, oh, this is kind of cool, revisiting. And then I saw in one of the transmog vendors, I saw the Tusks of Mannoroth, and it was like, oh my god, here's my chance to get them easily. I just got to farm Garrosh a bunch of times, but it's still a challenge. You need at least a decently competent group that's properly geared for it. And it just took some time. I would probably say really just like 3 weeks, maybe a full month before my character was ready, and eventually was able to farm it up, and I finally got him.
But it's still a cosmetic.
Yes, it is purely cosmetic. It's not something that gives you any kind of benefits for your character.
So I've been trying D4 to get at least a Shaco, some sort of legendary. But Shaco is the one that's always escaped me, the Harlequin Crest. And I was finally able to get it this season
Nice.
4, but only because they allowed you to craft it. And I had to create a secondary character so I could get the materials to create the Shaco.
So it was before it was a drop from a boss. That was
Right,
your
right.
only chance.
Completely. Yeah. The best way to get it was through running Duriel. That usually involved like, okay, a party of 4, everybody cycles their materials, so you get 4 chances for a Shaco drop, but you only have to really spend the materials for one boss fight.
Wow. I guess I should quickly mention for those who don't know, if you tried doing it the old fashioned way, you only essentially got 2 chances per week at getting these Garrosh shoulders.
2 chances a week for, but but I don't understand why somebody would go through that much trouble for a cosmetic.
It's probably a couple of reasons. So
Okay.
one, I would probably say lore-wise, if you're a huge fan of Warcraft, just in general, you know the characters, you're like, I want to have a similar look to Garrosh because he wears those shoulders. And if you're, I guess, into the role playing aspect, it's
Mm,
like, oh, I conquered Garrosh. Like in game
okay. Okay.
wise, I'm now wearing his
Right.
shoulders. I could kind of see
Yes.
that for some people.
No, no. I could see that. I could see that being a thing. Yeah.
Two, I am not sure about this. If at the time when that raid was current content, I'm curious if the chances of it dropping were higher. And I don't know if they did have like their own stats. So it was like that was like the best gear to get at the time, or if it was still just a cosmetic thing. But it was like a sign of, oh, this was someone who did this raid a lot and managed to get it. So it
Right.
was like
This
if
guy's
you
badass.
yeah, if you
It's a
saw
badge
this
of
guy
honor.
in town during that expansion, it was like,
Holy,
yeah,
holy shit.
yeah, it's a rare occurrence, but you're like, whoa, this guy got lucky and he must be good.
I wanna team up with this guy.
Yeah.
He's got dedication.
Which I guess is an
Okay.
argument now to think about now that everybody can probably get this, but it's only during these 3 months leading up to the next expansion. Once the new expansion comes out, or I think it's like a week before the expansion comes out, that this Miss Pandaria remix is going away. And then it's back to old fashioned. You got to run the normal raid, and with that
Oh wow. Okay.
0.03%. So it's like this is your one chance, and you have within these 3 months to get it easily right here. So you might see a lot more players running around with it, which kind of degrades the awe. Like, oh, someone's got those shoulders. That's amazing.
Right, but why do you think the developers allow that? Like, why do you think they change?
It's a good question. I mean, for me, it was like I've been trying since 2016, and here's my chance to
Right.
finally get it. I'm so
Yes.
happy to have it. But I do have that feeling of it kind of degrades the appeal of it, because now there's so many of us that can run around with it.
It's like, did I actually win, or did I just get given it?
Because I would be okay with if, like, the original, if you're one of those people that got it legitimately during its current content, if those were like the normal colors, let's say. And then if you got it during the Miss Pandaria remix, I'd be cool if they just changed. Normally it's a red color, but they made it more of a bluish color, so people just knew, oh, you got it in the remix.
Oh,
Like I'd probably be much more okay
like
with
tainted.
that.
It's like tainted a little bit. Like, yeah, you got it, but there's an asterisk.
Well, I would think that would be a better way of them doing it, because now it's like people won't really know, did I get it legitimately or did I get it during the remix? It just looks the same. But if I was the developers at Blizzard, I'd probably do something more along those lines, so players who got it legitimately can still have that honor, while everybody else can be like, okay, I at least got the shoulders. I can kind of mix around with the look of my character, so I can at least kind of fulfill that, I guess, fantasy of having those shoulders.
Okay, but again, it's just cosmetic.
Yep, purely cosmetic. No advantage, nothing like that.
You know that. Okay, so that's where I'm having still a hard time reconciling with, because it doesn't provide you with any benefit.
Yeah. I guess just
So,
that's
like,
ultimately what people like, is it's just the fantasy of feeling I get to have this different look for my character, what it represents within the lore. I think that's
I guess
ultimately the
so.
bottom line. Yeah.
I guess so. I'm thinking of this as like a from a Diablo standpoint, right? If you paid extra money for the pre-release for season 5, you got some wings.
Yay.
And some people have bought it and they get these wings.
What about the
And
horse?
it's like, yeah, but oh, and you get some pet. You get some cosmetic pet.
Wasn't there a horse that was like worth $70 or something? That it was recently with Diablo 4. What was that about?
That might be. I don't know. I mean, it probably came along with.
I just remember it was a couple months ago. Blizzard had some bundle where you got like a horse and a bunch of in-game credits, but it was crazy amount that it was like you could buy a brand new video game with that kind of money.
Yeah, no, you're buying the game again with this pre-order.
Yeah.
Essential. And that's what I'm saying is like what all you get are cosmetics. You're not even like if we're talking, okay, if you pre-order a game, you get early access to, this certain weapon that you won't get until later on in the game. I totally get that. I've done that before. But I'm not going to spend $70 for a cosmetic or a couple cosmetic,
Yeah, I've had a few times pre-ordering games that I thought I learned my lesson, but then there's always some game that comes along. The most recent one was Starfield, I'll admit it. Now that we're changing topics to pre-orders, let's talk about that. Yeah.
No, I mean, what? Okay, I think the best pre-order purchase I made was The Last of Us. No, not The Last of Us. Days Gone.
It's gone. Okay, tell me about it.
Days Gone. It's like a biker zombie.
Yeah, like I've seen some videos of it, but what was the pre-order?
You got this really friggin' sick crossbow.
Okay, so just
That
cosmetic.
was super. Yeah. No. But I mean, it was super.
It had
super
gameplay
effective
elements to it.
and silent. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got so it was like super silent, super effective. Again, early on zombie.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I'll never judge anybody for a pre-purchase or something like that.
Pre-order,
as
pre-purchase.
long as
you think that's okay?
As long as it has in-game purpose,
Okay.
Like a cosmetic, and I'm sorry, but I'd have to disagree with you on striving for this cosmetic. I vehemently disagree with you. I would not personally put all that time and effort.
Well, like I said, it doesn't take a ton of effort, I should say. At least for me, it's every Tuesday is reset day in WoW. And I'm able to, as I said, for the Siege of Orgrimmar, yes, it takes, if I'm like on point with my movement, 15 minutes or so. But most other raids, if you're just trying to get that one cosmetic, I mean, you can usually get through them 5-10 minutes or so.
Okay.
And like I said,
All right. Maybe
you can get through it super quick and just see, am I lucky this week? And for other raids, they have a higher chance. This is just like those few cosmetics that
right.
it's such a rare thing. There's still
Right.
famously invincible, which is the amount from the Lich King that once in a while I would try, but it's still the same kind of thing, 0.05% chance of dropping. It's like next to
Right.
impossible.
But like, why? I guess I mean Blizzard does it with Diablo. Why doesn't Blizzard do it with WoW, where like these extra special cosmetic can have advantages? I don't know. I don't understand that part. Maybe it's a business aspect that I don't get. But
I mean, maybe, but I'm sure it's just you've got the raids, they've got already like gear sets that drop. I guess I should say that when you defeat the boss, usually there's always a guaranteed chance that something will drop for players, and you can trade with one another. If someone already has like better gear or has that same gear, they can pass it off to somebody else.
right.
That's where I think it's if it's a specific boss that had some significant role in the World of Warcraft lore that people have always been talking about, like, oh, I've always loved the weapon of that character. It's probably just like a bonus thing that the team was like, hey, why don't we allow players the chance to get that weapon for their character? That's all it is.
But like, why not? Why not make it just like in Diablo 4, like in D4? Why don't you
Yeah,
just
I know what you
make
mean.
it?
That it's like, oh, this is the most powerful weapon if it's a weapon drop.
I mean, if
That
it's gonna be a cosmetic and that's all it is, let it be a cosmetic, Like go into your wardrobe and
yeah, that's what they
make it a
are.
cosmetic.
But you're saying
right?
it needs to also be like a powerful piece of equipment, which for
it's
some of them
I think
they
it's gotta
did
be
do that, but it's lately just become, if this is like a lore important item, it just becomes more of a cosmetic.
I think it's got to be one or the other,
Okay.
right? Like that's my opinion. Now I don't know crap about the World of Warcraft war or the
World of crap.
I don't know anything really about the WoW world.
That's understandable. Especially with how many
but-
expansions they're at. The story is just super long with so many characters.
But I'm also no stranger to video games and stupid marketing and trying to get people to buy things and what you want to work for in a video game. And definitely no stranger to Blizzard. But I'm thinking either like allow somebody to like if I just still can't wrap my head around making a cosmetic.
Yeah, I'm sure
So hard
I'm
to-
sure it's just
to
it's for those players that are very dedicated. They get all the best gear. It's kind of that incentive of, oh, there's this one last piece to get. It's still a very
Right.
low chance, but at least it gives them something. There's some goal that something that they still just haven't quite gotten, but it keeps them playing.
Yeah.
And whether that's
Yeah,
a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, that's definitely open to other people, because I totally get that. If there's something that has a 1% chance of dropping, I just kind of feel like it's not worth trying. I mean, if it happens, great, I'm going to be super happy, but I'm not dedicating my entire life to trying to get this thing, even though that is something that I was trying with these shoulders and the invincible mount for a while, that when I hop on every Tuesday, hop into those raids and just see, am I going to get incredibly lucky like I just won the lottery?
Well, and don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to bash anybody
Oh no,
who
for sure.
who like wants to try for these things. I'm just saying, for me, it doesn't make sense like to put in all that work for a cosmetic.
Okay.
Because I've been trying in Diablo 4 to get a Harlequin Crest forever.
We all have those
And,
moments where we try to get every little
I've
bit.
never got it, and all of my friends that I play with are like, "Oh yeah, I got it. Yo, yeah, you need a Shaco.
Yeah,
Your
you just
Shaco
gotta
will
do
really,
this, and you
really
got it.
boost your build." Yeah, bro, I've been running the same Duriel dungeons as you forever.
Yeah.
Like I still don't have one in 4 seasons, but this time they let me craft one. And I crafted one. And I was ultimately disappointed.
I'm sure like deep down you were kind of relieved, like my journey is finally over.
Yes, yes,
But how you got there,
absolutely.
you're like, I feel like
This, yeah, it doesn't feel right.
yeah, I guess kind of handed to you is probably the best expression I can say. Is like I know the original way of how to get it was the only way, and then suddenly here the company is like, oh, here's an easier way of doing it.
Well,
And it's like I
I
appreciate
mean,
that,
yeah.
but it just kind of degrades the value of it ultimately.
I think I just feel like it's mostly I feel it's unfair. There's a bit of injustice there.
Okay.
Where like everybody I've played with and everybody I've talked to is like, "Oh yeah, I got a Shaco."
Hmm.
And I never got one. And then we now we can craft it. Now I had to go through and create a secondary character so I could finish the Iron Wolves mission and get another shard or whatever. But like I finally got four of the materials, and I could create a Shaco. But then it was like this actually isn't that game changing.
Hmm.
And I think
Interesting.
I feel more disappointed than anything.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other examples related to cosmetics. Did you ever play Halo 3 back on the 360? Way back in whatever it was,
Um,
2007, 2008?
no, maybe I touched on it. I think I only went like Halo 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. But you weren't a Halo 3 crazed person.
I think it was past my time. I was like Halo was friggin' mind blowing,
Okay, because that was
on the
like the
Xbox, but
peak of gaming. I want to say. I mean, this is 'cause it came out 2007. I want to say, if my memory was correct, and
right.
that was everybody was playing that game, and I was just starting high school at that time. That was back when video games were still like microtransactions weren't
Hmm.
all the thing for
Right.
companies
No, that
to
was when they
do.
were that was when they were good, Joe.
Because they actually had content for you to unlock. It was okay, you beat the
Right.
campaign. Now try beating the campaign with these skulls, which modified the game in some way. If you can do
Right.
all that, you'll get a cool cosmetic. That's purely all it
Hmm.
is when you go into multiplayer and people see you with that helmet. Oh, they're like, oh shit, that guy, took on
Don't
that
fuck.
challenge. I mean, maybe they're not like really good in multiplayer, but it was like, hey, that's a dedicated player.
So that reminds me of like a stand-up story from Jay Moore was talking about working with Christopher Walken, right?
Okay.
And Christopher Walken, a Jay Moore was he asked Christopher Walken, hey, if you could have the power to fly or have a tail, which one would you rather have? And Christopher Walken's answer apparently, was, oh, I'd have a tail. People look at my tail and be like, oh, don't fuck with this, don't fuck with Chris today. Like, look at his tail.
Sounds just like.
Yeah, no, it reminded me of that.
Okay.
You're like, oh god, this guy's got this cosmetic. Don't fuck with him.
But yeah, I remember the biggest thing was recon helmet, or I should say recon armor. But there was one distinct helmet that was the recon helmet. And if you saw somebody with that, that was Bungie, the developers, personally
Right.
gave that player that helmet.
What?
Yeah, that was the developers. It could be any reason. Most of the time, if you saw players with that helmet, it was because either they were kind of a celebrity on YouTube, like they, showed videos of Halo. Maybe they
Oh
were a
yeah,
journalist or
yeah.
something. Or there was a
Right.
few people, like one was someone, he like threw a grenade, it exploded, and it caused a traffic cone in the game to kill another player. And Bungie thought that was hilarious, so they gave the player recon armor for it. So
Oh,
if you did something like crazy insane that nobody expected you to be able to do in the game, they might just give you recon.
okay.
So on top of that, usually if you saw recon, there was also the chance it was probably a Bungie employee. But the thing that
Okay.
confirmed that it was indeed a Bungie employee was if it looked like the helmet was on fire. Only Bungie employees had that. Now,
Huh.
for me personally, I was never in a game with a player with a flaming helmet. But I remember a friend of mine, he like recorded a clip of he was in a
Oh,
game with a Bungie employee. I mean, that to me was like a big deal. I know a guy who was in a game with a Bungie employee.
yeah, right, right. I swear to God, I've seen it, you guys.
Yeah, I got the clip here.
Look, dude, this is my Bigfoot footage.
Right. That's pretty much what it was. It was like seeing Bigfoot in Halo.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh. But with all that said, years later, when the Master Chief Collection came to PC, which included all the Halo games,
Okay.
what they did is they released, I think it was like each multiplayer part. So like Halo 1, you could play with other players on release. And the idea was everybody would hop onto Halo 1 to play the Halo 1 multiplayer. And then I want to say like a few months later, then Halo 2's multiplayer would get released. Hopefully everybody would hop over there to play Halo 2 multiplayer, and then vice versa. So when the Master Chief Collection came out and then they released the multiplayer, everybody noticed the armor selection, all of it was unlocked. So everybody had recon and including the flaming head. Which, as we said earlier, were, oh, now this became easier and it just feels kind of meh.
Right.
That for sure just felt like, oh, it's no big deal. My head is on fire, but there's no significance anymore. Normally, when you saw this, it was like, oh, snap, that's somebody from
Right.
Bungie in my game.
Right. It's like meeting a celebrity or something.
Basically, yeah.
That's see, that's
Yeah.
funny. I didn't know that kind of stuff happened.
Yeah, when you start
You know, they do
thinking
within
about
games.
yeah, you start thinking about it and comparing it, like, why is it weird in this one game but in this other game maybe not so much? And then there's like even further back with other video games where it's like, wow, I never thought of it like that. Just because, I don't know, it's interesting how cosmetics, especially in older games, it was a big deal if you saw somebody with that because there was certain
See,
parameters for it. But
yeah,
nowadays,
and
not so much.
I can understand that. And it's almost like you see someone running around with the, and I've seen people comment on or make comments on like the Diablo Facebook page I'm part of. It's like, oh, you know, when you see someone running around with the pre-order wing, and it's like making fun of them. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you you spent the money on pre-ordering. Like nobody cares about your cosmetic.
Well, I
In
guess
fact,
we should move on to
in fact, in,
pre-orders because I got some stuff to say
in
about it. But go on.
but no, it almost feels like it is kind of like, oh, you got your cosmetic, but you paid for it, so nobody cares that you have money, whatever.